The warm sunlight shines through the window onto the bed. Li Yunlong lies lazily on the bed, facing the sunlight and carefully observing his right hand. This is a young and energetic hand, with a dark punk style on the middle finger and a large hollow metal skull ring that shows off his personality. But Li Yunlong's memory of his right hand is not like this. He is over 40 years old and the skin on his hand is quite rough due to years of work. In addition, due to his age, he has long lost this youthful vitality. What's more, there is an obvious scar at the base of his right ring finger, which was left by an injury at work 5 years ago. And now not only his right hand is different, his body, his identity, his clothes, his house, and even the world he lives in are completely different from before because Li Yunlong traveled through time. Li Yunlong had heard of time travel before, but when it really happened to him, he still couldn't accept it calmly. Although soul travel is fashionable, how can one travel through time after sleeping? I am a middle-aged man with elderly parents, young children and a wife. If I travel through time like this, what should my family and relatives do? So Li Yunlong was unwilling to accept the fact that he had traveled through time at first. It must be because I got up in the wrong position, Li Yunlong said to himself firmly, and then began to toss and turn in bed, dreaming that when he woke up after a nap, he would have returned to his ordinary daily life. Unfortunately, Li Yunlong tossed and turned from 6 o'clock to 10:03. All the efforts were in vain. Under the pressure of reality, he had to accept the result that he had traveled through time. It seemed that his travel through time did not have a quick return function. Li Yunlong quickly accepted this tragic result with the big heart he had trained for many years. He put away his thoughts, suppressed them in his heart, tried to cheer up, and planned to meet new challenges. Li Yunlong has taken over almost all the memories of Tom Riddle, the original owner of this body. He can still figure out some things by carefully combing through them. Tom Riddle had no memory of his family since he was a child. Even the name Tom was given by the orphanage. For a yellow-skinned orphan, the orphanage in the United States is not a good memory. Fortunately, when he was 11 years old, Tom Riddle had his own family and got the surname Riddle from his adoptive parents. Unfortunately, Tom Riddle's adoptive parents were not good people. The education and influence Tom Riddle received can be imagined. When he was 13 years old, his adoptive parents were both killed in a gang fight. Once again, he lost his family. Tom Riddle, who was helpless, threw himself into the darkness without hesitation and became a gangster at the bottom. He changed 8 gangs in 5 years. With caution and a fierceness in his bones, Tom Riddle survived tenaciously. The 18-year-old boy decided to work hard. With the experience accumulated from years of being in the dark, Tom Riddle made a complete development plan, borrowed 10,000 in loan sharks, and used the money to make arrangements. Finally, he successfully became a mid-level member of the Death Racer skeleton gang. Unfortunately, the goddess of luck did not favor Tom Riddle because the leader of the Death Racer skeleton gang was killed by a killer sent by the leader of another gang not long ago. Without their leader, the Death Racer skeleton gang immediately disintegrated, and all of Tom Riddle's investments went down the drain. He also had to face vicious loan sharks. 2 days ago, Tom Riddle had to trade his only valuable second-hand car, which he bought for face, to the loan sharks in exchange for 2 days of buffer time. However, the impoverished Tom Riddle had no chance of paying back the loan sharks. In desperation, Tom Riddle decided to commit suicide by taking an overdose of sleeping pills. It wasn't that he didn't want to take an overdose of drugs to have a good time before he died. It was just that for a low-level thug like Tom Riddle, narcotics were hard currency, and once he got them, he had to find a way to exchange them for money. Therefore, poor Tom Riddle not only didn't have the bad habit of taking drugs, but also couldn't get drugs at all in such a desperate situation. At the critical moment between life and death, Tom Riddle awakened the superpower of sensory control. Unfortunately, the awakened superpower was neither a healing superpower nor a rebirth superpower, and he had almost no way to deal with his own death crisis. The instinct for survival made every effort to struggle desperately, and the result was still good. Although Tom Riddle was gone, Li Yunlong took over. The superpower of sensory control is like a person's hands and feet, which are part of the human body and can be used naturally. Of course, the extent to which it can be used is another matter. For example, if you can't use a wilderness survival knife to cut vegetables, Bear Grylls dares to run into the wild forest with a wilderness survival knife. Bear Grylls, also known as Edward Michael Grylls, was born on June 7, 1974. He is a British explorer, writer and TV host. He was dubbed the man at the top of the food chain because of the shocking food he ate on the Discovery Channel show Man vs. Wild. The initial manifestation of the superpower of sensory control is just the effective control of one's own senses. It is not just as simple as doubling the vision and tripling the hearing. It is a more complex and deeper control, such as using eyes to smell, ears to see, and nose to hear. At first glance, this superpower is nothing remarkable. In order to cheer himself up, Li Yunlong thought deeply. There are three famous questions in human philosophy. Who am I? Where do I come from? Where am I going? Theoretically, the superpower of sensory control can help you understand yourself more clearly. If you can really understand yourself clearly, then can you answer the philosophical question, who am I? From this perspective, the superpower of sensory control suddenly becomes more impressive, and its development potential and future prospects suddenly become very impressive. Long-term goals are still a bit far away from Li Yunlong. The current priority is to master the sensory control superpower as deeply and skillfully as possible. There is no other way. Since the failure of the waking up posture and time travel experiment, Li Yunlong was forced to get up and take care of his personal hygiene, take a shower to cheer himself up, search for the remaining food to make himself a full meal, and rummage through the boxes to find a set of clean clothes for himself to change into. In this process, Li Yunlong once again confirmed the tragic fact that Tom Riddle was a pauper. The current house was rented with the guarantee of the game, and the furniture inside belonged to the landlord. Except for a few tattered clothes, there was no property belonging to Li Yunlong. He had no car, no house, no savings, and owed a lot of high-interest loans. This was the financial situation that Tom Riddle left to Li Yunlong. The only thing that Li Yunlong can rely on to change his current life is the sensory control superpower. So Li Yunlong concentrated his mind and devoted himself to the world of sensory control superpowers. Like a cautious adventurer and explorer, Li Yunlong broke through his limits again and again, going deep into the blue sea and the deep world beneath the calm sea surface. My senses were coordinated and controlled, forming a combined force, breaking through the previous limits, and obtaining everything I could bear from the infinite ocean of information. Looking at myself, my skin was not an obstacle, my flesh and blood were not an obstacle, and my bones were not an obstacle. My body was like pure jade under the observation of the superpower of sensory control. The complex and grand supersystem of the human body was displayed before my eyes. Looking outside, the wall became riddled with holes, as if it could be destroyed with a light poke of the finger. It had almost no function of dividing the space. The floor under my feet was no longer solid. What was the difference between this and a shoddy construction? It's too easy to destroy. The most surprising thing is that the originally empty space, without the cover of other things, has become a gorgeous stage. It turns out that our world is an extremely gorgeous stage. So high above the clouds, is there a great existence quietly enjoying the joys and sorrows on this huge stage of the world? Thinking of this, Li Yunlong's mood became bad. He was eager to find a poor guy to vent his frustration on. There was no one in the room on the left, No one in the room on the right, and no one in the room opposite. Could it be that because it was close to noon, everyone went out to eat in a group? That shouldn't be the case. Li Yunlong remembered that the tenant on the right was a dark rock musician. His daily routine was reversed. He was very energetic at night and slept at home during the day. Maybe he could only find a few strangers to vent his anger on. Li Yunlong was about to expand the search range when he suddenly found 3 familiar figures. Pengbo came to the door with 2 muscular younger brothers. As a salesman under Mr. Goldfinger, Pengbo's work record was impressive, especially in the work of debt collection. At Li Yunlong's door, Pengbo did not rush to knock, but turned back and winked at the 2 younger brothers to let them get ready. After working together for so long, many times, both parties can understand each other with just a glance. It is not an easy job to recover usurious goods, especially to recover usurious loans from gang members. Even if everything goes well in the process, you must be vigilant. Pengbo does not want to capsize in the gutter. Taking a deep breath, Pengbo adjusted his expression to make his face look more ferocious, and raised his hand to slam the door. At this moment, the door suddenly opened from the inside. Li Yunlong stood there with a smile on his face, looking at Pengbo as if he was looking at a fast food delivery man. "Hey, isn't this Pengbo, brother? I've been waiting for you for a long time. What are you still doing standing at the door? Come on, come in." As he spoke, he didn't give Pengbo any time to react, stretched out his hand, hooked Pengbo's neck, and pulled him into the house directly. "What's going on?" Although Li Yunlong let go of his hand after being pulled into the house, Pengbo still had a look of being forced. "What happened? How did I get in inexplicably? This situation seems a little wrong." Pengbo is more of a code name than a name. As far as Pengbo knows, he is the 3rd person to use this code name. If his subordinates don't have some skills, it is impossible to inherit this code name. Pengbo is a white male with a height of 1.9 meters. He is not only strong and powerful, but also has officially served in the army. He has received systematic training from the military, and his reaction is quick and coordinated. Once he faced 2 armed hooligans alone with bare hands. Within a minute, Pengbo sent these 2 hooligans to see God, so Pengbo is very confident in his skills and his reaction ability. But now the problem lies here. Pengbo can't figure out how he was pulled in by Li Yunlong with 1 hand. I have clearly made preparations, and my mind is in a state of high alert. Not to mention Li Yunlong stretched out a hand to hook my neck and pull me. As long as his hand dared to move, I should have fought back quickly. How could I be like a wooden man and let others manipulate me without any reaction? Before Pengbo could figure out the problem, the sound of a door closing came from behind him. It was a completely subconscious, instinctive reaction. Pengbo turned around and looked behind him, just in time to see Li Yunlong retract his hands. In fact, Li Yunlong did not do anything just now. He just exerted force with both hands, turned into a hand knife, and chopped the necks of Pengbo's 2 younger brothers. The 2 younger brothers had no ability to resist at all. They rolled their eyes and fell softly to the ground. Pengbo's reaction ability, which was trained by thousands of life and death trials, responded to his body before his thoughts turned around. He reached out and grabbed the pistol on his waist. Unfortunately, the distance between Pengbo and Li Yunlong was too close. Li Yunlong did not give him time to draw his gun. He gathered his strength with both hands and hit Pengbo's shoulders. With 2 dark sounds, Pengbo's shoulder joint was dislocated by Li Yunlong. At the critical moment, Pengbo gritted his teeth and forced himself to endure the pain. He planned to kick and counterattack Li Yunlong from bottom to top to make a Jedi counterattack. In response, Li Yunlong hit him hard in the lower body. The place where he was hit felt numb at first, then cold, and then he lost consciousness completely. Not to mention raising his leg to fight back, he couldn't even control his lower body. He collapsed to the ground in an awkward posture. At this time, we need to praise Pengbo's good habit. He always turns off the safety when he is not going to use the gun. Otherwise, with Pengbo's current posture, he would have shot himself in the lower body. As an old man who has been in the underworld for many years, Pengbo's psychological quality is quite good. When he was suddenly attacked by Li Yunlong and became a prisoner, he did not scream in panic or hysterically curse. Instead, he tried to raise his head and look directly at Li Yunlong. "Do you want to kill me? It's useless. No one can owe Mr. Goldfinger money." Li Yunlong stretched out his hand and pulled Pengbo to the wall, letting him sit with his back against the wall. He pulled a chair over and sat opposite Pengbo. "At this time, you still care about money. People like you who are doing usury and debt collection, if you fall into my hands, shouldn't you care more about your life?" Li Yunlong took Pengbo's pistol into his own hand. This pistol was not the famous Desert Eagle, but the Beretta 92 series most used by the American police. Because of industrial production, the price is relatively low, and there are no relevant legal obstacles, so the gun ownership rate in the United States is very high. Guns are not just a weapon, but have even developed into a culture. However, even in the United States, there are people who don't carry guns for ghosts like Tom Riddle. In the game, guns are not only a symbol of force, but also represent identity to a certain extent. Tom Riddle, who has been mixed in the bottom of the game, has few opportunities to touch a gun. Li Yunlong has lived in our country with a sound legal system all his life and has never had the opportunity to play with guns. So when he really has a pistol in his hand to play with at will, Li Yunlong is in a pretty good mood. Pengbo's expression did not fluctuate. "For someone like me, it's normal to be beaten to death on the street one day. But you, I didn't expect that I would misjudge you. But even if your skills are better than I thought, it's still useless. The power that Mr. Goldfinger possesses is beyond your imagination. Mr. Goldfinger has power that I can't imagine." Li Yunlong curled his lips and pointed the gun in his hand at Pengbo. "Even so what? I don't care about those now. What I want to know is why you loan me money. You are a loan shark, and you should know very well that people like me who are in the game may not be able to pay back the money. Although 10,000 is not a lot, it will take me several months to pay back the money even in the most ideal situation. There are too many variables in the middle. If something unexpected happens, like what happened to me, I have no money to pay it back. How can you recover the debt?" Pengbo looked calm, or he thought there was no need to keep this question secret. "There are too many ways. Just because you don't have money doesn't mean you have no value. For example, we can arrange for you to smuggle some high-value dangerous goods, or arrange for you to be a younger brother of a boss, but actually work for us. If you really don't have talent, we can also remove your organs and sell them for money." Li Yunlong was speechless. He was indeed a gangster. He had a dark heart. "Although what you said was very true, aren't you afraid that I will get angry and shoot you to death if you say that? If I don't say that, you won't be angry and kill me?" Pengbo had an expression that said he had seen through everything. Tom Riddle's memory told Li Yunlong that it was the right choice to kill Pengbo and his two younger brothers. Li Yunlong accepted Tom Riddle's memory, but did not agree with his conclusion. As a New Era proletarian worker who was born in New China and grew up under the red flag, even though he had traveled through time, when given a choice, Li Yunlong did not intend to take the path of killing and decisiveness and being the only one who was supreme. So he decided to give Pengbo a chance. "I don't like killing people. So I decided to give you a chance. Tell me everything you know, and I will let you live." Pengbo completely sneered at Li Yunlong's proposal. "Your struggle is doomed to be in vain. You simply don't understand how powerful Mr. Goldfinger is. You still want me to tell you all the information I know. Don't dream. What's the use even if you are willing to let me go? Mr. Goldfinger will not let me go. After saying that, he turned his face away, closed his eyes and waited for death. Hey! This is going to be a roll of meat for me. If it was Tom Riddle in this situation, he would kill Pombo and his two brothers without hesitation. If it was Li Yunlong, who lived in a peaceful and law-abiding society, he would have no better way except to call the police. But now Li Yunlong, who has the superpower of sensory control, has the capital to choose a third way. Li Yunlong grabbed Pombo's head tightly with both hands, forced him to face himself, and roared at him viciously. You chose this path yourself. Don't blame me for being cruel. The superpower of sensory control forcibly took over all of Pombo's senses through physical contact. The highly polluting junk information selected by Li Yunlong poured into Pombo's brain through the open sensory channels like a mudslide. The expression on Pombo's face changed from indifference to pain, from pain to distortion, from distortion to despair, and finally from despair to nothing. Maybe Pombo thought about struggling, but when he started just now, his body had been severely injured by Li Yunlong and he lost most of his ability to resist. In addition, Li Yunlong's sensory control superpower forcibly took over his senses, fundamentally eliminating all his struggles. Maybe at the last moment, Pombo wanted to ask for help and beg Li Yunlong to let him go, but Li Yunlong didn't give him a chance to speak. Pombo, whose senses were forcibly controlled by the sensory control superpower, couldn't even scream, and finally could only accept all the bitter fruits in silence. Li Yunlong didn't kill him, but Li Yunlong's choice might be worse than death for Pombo. Li Yunlong, who did not intend to kill anyone, chose to forcibly erase Pombo's memory. The superpower of sensory control is to control the human senses. Through direct physical contact, Li Yunlong can forcibly control the physical senses of the person being contacted. However, Li Yunlong's superpower is not memory control, and he cannot directly erase and rewrite others' memories at will. So the method adopted by Li Yunlong is similar to the means used by hackers on the internet. The brain that stores memories is regarded as a computer or hard disk. The senses controlled by Li Yunlong are information channels. The highly polluted junk information that has been selected is like a hacker's attack, which will ruthlessly destroy all the information in the hard disk. This trick is of course very dangerous to use on people. Pombo happened to be used for the experiment. The experimental results were very successful, and it also proved Li Yunlong's speculation that the ability of ordinary people's brains to process information is limited. If too much information is forcibly input, it will be severely damaged, and even cause damage to the soul. The whole person's spirit, will, and memory will suffer devastating damage, which is almost irreparable. For Pombo, at least he has survived Li Yunlong's hands for now, but this result may not be lucky. After being randomly experimented by Li Yunlong, Pombo will become a vegetable if he is unlucky after waking up, and more than 90% of the time, he will become an idiot with no memory. How many enemies does a gangster who is a loan shark have? I'm afraid he himself can't count them all. After becoming an idiot, he lost all his value to Mr. Goldfinger, and at the same time, he also lost the ability to protect himself. Adding these three together, Li Yunlong can now predict Pombo's tragic end in the future. After experimenting with Pombo, Li Yunlong didn't plan to waste any more effort on his two younger brothers. He found tape from the room, lined up the three people, tied their hands behind their backs with tape, put their legs together and taped them at the ankles, and finally taped their mouths with tape, and finished the job perfectly. After the battle, Li Yunlong began to touch the corpse. Yar! No, he began to collect spoils. As for the safety issue, haha. Don't think that the safety is poor just because Li Yunlong used tape to tie them up randomly. In fact, unless Pombo and his two younger brothers have means beyond ordinary people, such as superpowers or special martial arts skills, otherwise, with their current status after being tied up. They are basically fish on the chopping board under Li Yunlong's eyes. Life and death are all in the hands of others. Don't be fooled by the fact that Pengbo and his two younger brothers are tall and strong with well-developed limbs. Even if Li Yunlong was not watching them, they would still need to use a lot of effort to break free from the restraints, because Li Yunlong's way of binding violates the force method determined by the human body structure. The strength of the tape is obviously limited, but you have no strength to use it. What can you do? Li Yunlong collected a pistol, a dagger, 20 spare bullets, and 2,731 in cash from Pengbo. Pengbo's two younger brothers contributed 2 daggers, a tiger finger, 352 in cash, and a total of about 300 grams of gold jewelry. He took out all the mobile phones from the 3 people and put them together with his own mobile phone, then physically smashed them with a hammer, and threw the fragments together in the trash can. As for the other sundries on the 3 people, Li Yunlong did not touch them. He put the harvest in his pocket, checked to see if there was anything else missing, and left the 3 people in the room. Li Yunlong went out alone, and carefully locked the door when he went out, so that he might be able to delay a little more time. According to Tom Riddle's memory, Li Yunlong understood that from the time he attacked Pengbo and his 2 younger brothers, he had actually started a time race with the loan shark group represented by Mr. Goldfinger. As for not being discovered, that was just an impossible naive idea. Although the underground bank that lends money at high interest rates is not a formal institution, they naturally have their own way to survive. Tom Riddle has also heard some superficial things, such as Pengbo, who is responsible for debt collection, usually acts in a group of 3 people. How can people in the underworld not be greedy for money? Mr. Goldfinger is not stupid, so how could he believe them? If the 3 people in the same group are not allowed to monitor each other, these conscienceless bastards can make up any absurd lies. Will Mr. Goldfinger still want his money at that time? Secondly, they have their own set of security methods, such as timetables or scheduled communications. If there is a problem, it is easy to determine the approximate area. Finally, the management is also quite strict, and accounts must be settled every day. That is to say, if Pengbo and his 2 younger brothers have problems, Mr. Goldfinger's people will find out at the latest that night. For gangsters, money is a big problem, and it is worth risking your life for. So if Tom Riddle were to deal with the problem, he would kill Pengbo and his 2 younger brothers without hesitation, so that other people would understand that Tom Riddle was expressing his attitude. This is the end of going against me. Whoever dares to mess with me again, we will fight to the death. This kind of voice made at the cost of 3 lives is often very effective. If you are lucky, your reputation will spread and you will be respected by many gangsters. Of course, if you are unlucky, you will become a target of some people and lose your life in a short time. But being in the underworld itself is a risk, so many gangsters will choose to do this. Pengbo would become an idiot even if he woke up after being hit by Li Yunlong, so there was no need to consider it. His 2 younger brothers were hit by Li Yunlong's knife, and they would be unconscious for more than 2 hours. Li Yunlong made a rough estimate and felt that he still had enough time. Anyway, if he drove 1 sheep, he would let 2 sheep go. Tom Riddle was really poor, to a certain extent a poor guy, who didn't leave Li Yunlong with a single hair. All the funds Li Yunlong had on hand were obtained from Pengbo and his 2 younger brothers. This little money was not enough for Li Yunlong, so before running away, Li Yunlong decided to do another big job. According to Tom Riddle's memory, there was a suitable target right now. The apartment building that Tom Riddle rented was an old-fashioned one in the slums. Unlike other apartment buildings, almost all the residents of this apartment building had connections with the mafia, because the owner of this apartment building was a former mafia boss who had retired from the business. This boss was said to be a high-ranking member of the largest mafia in Los Angeles. After getting older, he couldn't fight anymore, so he simply bought this apartment building and retired from the business of renting. The tenants of the apartment were naturally a mixed bag, including poor people like Tom Riddle, who rented the apartment for the sake of face, and ruthless and well-known mafia strongmen. As far as Tom Riddle knew, one of the residents on the first floor was a mafia stronghold specializing in drug trafficking. He must have a lot of money, which was just enough to solve his urgent needs. Things went smoothly. With Tom Riddle's memory as a guide, Li Yunlong activated his superpower of sensory control. The walls in the corridor became transparent to Li Yunlong in one direction. He easily identified the gang's base and concluded that there were many good things in the safe in the base. Although there were 3 armed gangsters with guns guarding the base, it was meaningless to Li Long. With only a piece of wire, Li Yunlong easily opened the door lock. The 3 guards didn't even have a chance to draw their guns, and were knocked to the ground by Li Yunlong one by one. There was no way. After Li Yunlong's sensory control strengthened himself, although Li Yunlong only had a slight advantage in the intensity of the movements and reaction speed of both sides, their movements were no different from slow motion in Li Yunlong's eyes. All the shortcomings of their bodies from inside to outside were exposed. I'm afraid they themselves couldn't judge what they would do in the next second, but in Li Yunlong's view, their movement trend was so obvious that the result was that they were just a hair's breadth away. To Li Yunlong, they were no different from puppets waiting for him to play with them. The feeling of being in control of the overall situation and being superior was truly intoxicating. This kind of purely mechanical safe is defenseless for Li Yunlong. There are many good things in it. The most valuable ones should be the documents, but these things are also the easiest to expose oneself. In addition, there are some drugs, gold and cash. Li Yunlong only took the cash, a total of about $150,000. Li Yunlong did not touch other things. Because Li Yunlong does not intend to rely on this for his whole life, he only needs to solve his financial pressure in the short term. With the superpower of sensory control, Li Yunlong does not worry about his future financial prospects. When he went out, Li Yunlong locked the door intimately. There were 3 people lying in the room. The door of the safe was open. There were many valuable things in it. When he took action, Li Yunlong deliberately held back. They would wake up in about half an hour. Li Yunlong didn't believe that gangsters wouldn't be greedy for money, or rather, the environment they live in determined that they had to be greedy for money. Li Yunlong's actions left the 3 gangsters with no other choice. They could either wait for the boss to come back from the open safe. The loss of $150,000 in cash was enough for the boss to kill all 3 of them. Or they had to take advantage of the boss not coming back, divide the contents of the safe among the 3 of them and run away quickly. If they were less lucky, they might even have to fight for the contents of the safe. According to Li Yunlong's judgment, unless they were caught by their former boss, they would not be able to wait there to die obediently. After such gangsters had money in hand, it was very likely that they would escape the boss's pursuit. No matter how many of them could escape in the end, they were destined to take the blame for Li Yunlong. Even if the gangster boss caught all 3 of them and forced them to tell the details, with this period of buffer, Li Yunlong should have dealt with all the tales and said goodbye to the gangster boss completely. With a plan in mind, Li Yunlong was naturally calm and relaxed. He walked out of the apartment building leisurely. When he left, he even had the time to greet the guard. He boarded a nearby bus, changed buses twice, and arrived at the subway station. He changed subways several more times, and when he came out, he was already in the outskirts of Los Angeles. He found a motel nearby, and did not check the relevant documents at all. Li Yunlong just gave a name, paid a month's rent, and found several restaurants that provided food delivery services through advertisements he saw on the road. Then Li Yunlong stayed in the room and lived a happy life of eating and sleeping, sleeping and eating. As for concerns about personal safety, Li Yunlong hardly has any. It has been less than a day since Li Yunlong traveled to this world, and he has only gotten into two big troubles. One is the loan sharks he owes, and the other is the money he robbed from the gangs. Of course, there are three unlucky guys in the gangs who took the blame for Li Yunlong. Strictly speaking, Mr. Goldfinger's loan sharks were the fault of Tom Riddle, the predecessor of this body. As a small gangster at the bottom of the game, he was able to cause such a big trouble for Li Yunlong, which was already an outstanding ability. Apart from that, there was no other trouble. Although Pengbo and his two younger brothers came aggressively and refused to give up after being caught by Li Yunlong, as long as you think rationally, you will understand how much of his words are bragging. The underground bank that lends money at high interest rates represented by Mr. Goldfinger is naturally in the upper middle class in the survival chain of the game. In order to protect their own interests and survival, they must have strong power and strength. When facing a gangster like Tom Riddle, in order to maintain their face and reputation in the underworld, they must kill him. If Li Yunlong's current strength is compared to an ant, then Mr. Goldfinger and the forces he represents have the power of an elephant. If they face him hidden, Li Yunlong will be dead. Li Yunlong would be stupid to face him hidden. Faced with the reality that Li Yunlong had already fled, Mr. Goldfinger had no good solution. It was true that Mr. Goldfinger was an elephant, but it was impossible for Mr. Goldfinger to be the only one in such a large territory as Los Angeles. Elephants also had their own opponents and their own survival pressures. Tom Riddle, Li Yunlong's predecessor, had only borrowed a total of 10,000. Even if Pengbo and his two younger brothers were counted as dead, how much would the total loss be? Even considering Mr. Goldfinger's face and reputation loss in the underworld, the resources that could be used to hunt down Li Yunlong were limited. The method used by Li Yunlong when he fled was old-fashioned, simple but very effective. Even if the police wanted to find Li Yunlong, they would have to spend a lot of time and energy and invest a lot of resources. How many people could Mr. Goldfinger's men dispatch? How many resources would be used? Even if they were extremely unlucky, these people could really find Li Yunlong. Could it be that Li Yunlong was a good man who could be bullied by others? Did they really think that Li Yunlong's sensory control superpower was a decoration? No matter how you counted it, they were more likely to come here to die. Therefore, Li Yunlong was very confident about his personal safety, and he also believed that as long as they couldn't find him, these people would stop after a few days, and it was impossible to drag it on indefinitely. Even Mr. Goldfinger wouldn't make a fuss, and at most he would issue a bounty on the street. As long as Li Yunlong didn't run into Mr. Goldfinger's hands again, even Mr. Goldfinger himself would give up. There is an old saying in my country: the small hermit hides in the wild, the middle hermit hides in the city, and the great hermit hides in the court. Li Yunlong felt that this saying made sense to him now. He had been staying in the hotel for a month and no one had found him. His height had also grown from 1.78 meters to 1.81 meters. When he looked in the mirror, he could not see Tom Riddle at all. It was worse than a full-body plastic surgery. He was still worried about Mr. Goldfinger. He couldn't even recognize me when he stood in front of him. It was time to go out and have fun. Li Yunlong checked out of the hotel and drove straight to the Mexican border. The security in this place is not very good. There are many forces intertwined here, and the relationships are also complicated. According to Tom Riddle's memory, Li Yunlong found a fake ID dealer very smoothly here. After spending 3 days and $5,000, Li Yunlong successfully got his new identity book. Identity cards are not popular in the United States. If you are asked to show your ID, you can just take out your driver's license. Whether you stay in a hotel or take a plane, you can use your driver's license. There is no household registration management system. You are a resident of the place where you live. Even if you rent a house, as long as you live long enough, you will be assumed to have the right to vote in the local area. Li Yunlong spent so much money that of course he couldn't just get a fake driver's license, but a series of fake information including personal social security number, personal social security record, personal tax record, etc. And the fake certificate dealer had a way to put this fake information into the US government database. Even if the police checked it online, they would think it was real. The fake certificate dealer assured Li Yunlong that as long as the police didn't send people to take this information to the local area for field investigation, it would be impossible to find that Li Yunlong's identity was fake. Li Yunlong reservedly believed the fake certificate dealer's words, and Li Yunlong didn't intend to expect the fake certificate dealer to be perfect, as long as he could deal with it on the surface. After returning to Los Angeles smoothly, Li Yunlong, who had money in his pocket, began to spend money lavishly. He first hired a third-rate private lawyer for himself. He did not expect him to be very capable, but he could help him deal with minor legal issues. The most important thing was that the lawyer was cheap, only $6,000 a year. He rented a house for himself in the northern suburbs of Burbank. It was a 2-story brick and stone structure with an independent courtyard and basement. The interior decoration was fine, and the furniture was also complete. It was the type that could be moved in with just a bed. The original offer was $2,000 a month, but Li Yunlong signed a 3-year contract in one go and cut the price to $10,000 a year. He bought an 80 new second-hand Ford pickup truck for himself, and then went to the Motor Vehicle Administration and the Social Security Agency to handle the formalities. The rule here in the United States is that if you go to a place for more than 15 days, you need to handle the relevant formalities. Finally, he went to the bank to open an account and deposit $100,000 for himself. After a series of operations, Li Yunlong completely abandoned the identity of Tom Riddle and transformed himself into a successful person in society with a car and a house, no foreign debt, and deposits in the bank book. After spending half a day tidying up the house and ordering takeout for dinner, Li Yunlong walked into the study room in his large and comfortable pajamas. Most of the bookshelves were empty. I don't know if the landlord or the previous tenant left more than a dozen books and magazines scattered on the bookshelf. Li Yunlong flipped through them and found nothing that interested him, so he put them here for now. If he reads a lot of books in the future, he can deal with them when he has no place to go. Turning on the desk lamp on the desk, taking out paper and pen, Li Yunlong planned to make a short-term plan for himself. Although he still has some money on hand, it is definitely not a good habit to live off his savings. He always has to find something to do for himself. Even if the initial income is limited, he must leave enough room for development. Li Yunlong wrote down the first option: I will eat and wait for death. He shook his head and drew a cross behind this option. As a time traveler, Li Yunlong himself was not willing to choose this option, so how could he choose it? Li Yunlong thought about it and wrote down the second option on the paper: superhero. Soul travel plus superpowers as a cheat code. This really looks like the protagonist. Hero. What boy doesn't have a dream of being a hero? What is a hero? The dictionary clearly states, selfless and selfless, not afraid of danger. Mao Zedong said in his poem Winter Clouds, only heroes can drive away tigers and leopards, and no heroes are afraid of bears. Yang Xiuqing of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom said in his poem Surely Loyal and Brave, the uprising broke through the border by the millions and reached Tianjin, the most heroic. Dong Biwu said in his poem Hangdong Martyr's Tower, blood stained the battlefield and turned into rainbows, sacrificing for the country is a hero. So how did the ancients view heroes? A smart and outstanding person is called a hero. A brave and strong person is called a hero. A hero has lofty ambitions, the power to swallow mountains and rivers, the capacity to hold the 9 states, and the mind to embrace the 4 seas. Shouldering justice, saving the people from danger, and rescuing the people from hanging. Of course, the ancients also understood that this requirement is too idealistic, and it is extremely difficult for anyone to do this in reality. So it is clearly recorded in Zai Jintan collection Minshuo. When a country prospers, thieves follow heroes to make merit. When a country fails, officials and scoundrels ignore the law. From another perspective, it interprets the dialectical truth that heroes create the times, and the times create heroes. Li Yunlong sighed with melancholy. He had some idea of what kind of person he was. His reason would never allow him to be a superhero. More importantly, Li Yunlong picked up the pen and added a sentence after the superhero option. With great power comes great responsibility. This sentence may not seem very eye-catching, but it is almost one of the core settings of every hero in Marvel Comics. But in Li Yunlong's opinion, this sentence is logically wrong, or at least not logically rigorous. Suppose there is a chef who is the best cook in the country. Can this chef use his cooking ability to fight criminals, protect civilians? If this is really the case, then someone wants to kill the chef. Therefore, Li Yunlong personally believes that the more logical statement of this sentence should be the greater the power, the greater the responsibility. Since you enjoy power in normal times, when there are problems, you need to take responsibility to solve them. Otherwise, you are there when you enjoy it, but when problems arise, the people need to take the blame. What's the use of you? Li Yunlong picked up the pen and put a cross behind this option. In addition to the above factors, there is another most important question, that is, this world, the country where Li Yunlong lives now. How do ordinary people in this environment view heroes? Captain America is a recognized hero. When Li Yunlong knew this, he was messy in the wind. He didn't go crazy on the spot. Li Yunlong felt that his psychological quality was very good. Li Yunlong specially collected relevant information for this. During World War II, Captain America was active on the battlefield, fighting Red Skull and Hydra. Now the old Americans have a museum specially established for Captain America. Old Osborn is still fighting on the front line of the Osborn Group. The Stark Group is a famous arms dealer. Tony Stark has not yet become Iron Man, but his reputation as a playboy has spread throughout the country. Damn it! This is the world of Marvel. Although I don't know whether it is the movie version or the comic version, no matter which Marvel world it is, it's terrible. There are too many villains, heroes are everywhere, and the Avengers may not be able to shake. It describes the Marvel world. Not only is the living environment dangerous, but more importantly, the Marvel world is very unfriendly to time travelers. The common information advantage of time travelers is completely invalid here. Because the Marvel world is notorious for its chaos, with chaotic characters, chaotic timelines, and chaotic events. Take Li Yunlong himself as an example. At the beginning, Li Yunlong noticed Marvel because of the movie Iron Man. The plot was nothing special, but the special effects were really beautiful in Li Yunlong's eyes. Influenced by this, Li Yunlong went to read some Marvel comics, but was greatly disappointed. The chaos is so chaotic that people can't figure it out. Men turning into women is called daily life, good turning into bad is a common routine, and people turning into dogs can praise the editor's broad thinking. There are several different versions of the setting of big guys like Iron Man in the comics. Li Yunlong alone roughly knows 3 versions. One version is a woman, and another version is the biggest behind-the-scenes mastermind of the story. He gave up his usual heroic image and directly became the villain boss. In the comics, Doctor Strange follows the last supreme sorcerer, Ancient One, to learn. Ancient One is set as an old man, but in the movie of Doctor Strange, he directly draws the knife into a piece, and the supreme sorcerer Ancient One becomes an ant. Deadpool is just a chatterbox in the movie, but in a comic, Deadpool directly becomes a dog. The character settings alone have changed so much, not to mention those small changes, such as white people becoming black people, two eyes becoming one-eyed dragons, or simply becoming blind, missing arms and legs, human body transformation, and so on. In addition, the time and space of the Marvel world are also unreliable. There are space jumps and parallel worlds at any time. There are prophets playing predictions there every day, and they are anxious to cross time. Anyway, Lee Yun-long believes that those cartoonists who are mixed in Marvel have already broken the logic of the Marvel world. In the end, in order to barely build the Marvel universe and create a multiverse parallel universe, there are too many logical contradictions anyway, and patches can no longer make up for it. Lee Yun-long himself doesn't like this kind of environment, but you have already jumped into the fire pit, and it's not that easy to get out. I had to hold my nose and bear the anger for a while, but I would never choose to be a superhero. Lee Yun-long wrote down the third one: build high walls, store up food, and slowly become king. This one sounds good. If it were up to his own temperament, Lee Yun-long would most like to choose this one, but unfortunately it is almost impossible to achieve it in the current environment. In modern society, information is developed, and even the smallest things may be known to everyone. It's not wrong to want to bury your head in farming, but if you want to establish a large group, especially a large group with powerful military force, believe it or not, the American government will directly send troops to destroy you. It's impossible to give you time for peaceful development. So this one can only be crossed out. Finally, Lee Yun-long found that with limited information and limited capabilities, it was impossible to set long-term goals. Otherwise, it would be unrealistic and risky, so it would be better not to set them. The best way now is to take one step at a time, establish your foothold first, and live your life, and then strive to make every day better than the last. Life is very ordinary. Everyone is living their lives, that is, enjoying their lives. But it is not easy to live well and live better and better. Lee Yun-long was not able to make a name for himself in his middle age. Tom Riddle struggled for 5 years and was still at the bottom of the game. Although these experiences did not provide any successful experience to help Lee Yun-long, from another perspective, failure is also an experience. The key is how you use it. The next day, Lee Yun-long went out early and specially customized 300 business cards for himself. The style was very simple and the format was not unusual. It was printed with Lee Yun-long's current name Brooke Lee, and the key point was the following note: freelance writer, adventurer, occult researcher. If you want to mix in society, you need an identity. When Lee Yun-long used the fake ID dealer to make an identity for himself, he designed the identity of a freelance writer and specially prepared materials for it. The identities of adventurer and occult researcher were added by Lee Yun-long. Lee Yun-long felt that these two titles could provide more help for himself. As soon as the business card was handed over, the other party took it and looked at it: a freelance writer. Recalling that he had never heard of any famous writer named Brooke Lee, he must be an unknown person and not worthy of attention at all. Once this initial impression was made, the evaluation would naturally be low, which was not the effect Lee Yun-long wanted. The title of adventurer was completely different. Although the name Brooke Lee had never been heard of, there were only a few successful adventurers after all. Most adventurers only enjoyed their reputation in a small range throughout their lives, so it was normal for an adventurer to be unknown. In the propaganda of Western culture, adventurers were roughly equivalent to explorers. The life of any famous adventurer was a legend, and this legend had amazing appeal to the general public. Even if they could not contact the famous big adventurers, the legend of an unknown little adventurer was also quite attractive to them. This reputation was used in Li Yunlong's first contact with others, which was a very good stepping stone. As for the title of mystic researcher, it was even more powerful. The religious atmosphere in the United States was very strong. According to the official statistics of the United States, less than 9% of the people in the country did not have their own religious beliefs. However, religious beliefs are also quite chaotic. Almost all the major beliefs in the world have a hand here, such as the Greek gods of Mount Olympus, the ancient Egyptian pharaoh beliefs, and the cults. Taoism and Buddhism, which originated from my country, have also had a hand here. If you count the cults of all sizes, whether they are named or not, it will be a complete mess. Of course, the beliefs in the United States are still dominated by Christianity, which is said to account for 60% of the total population. If you count all the religions that believe in God and Jesus Christ, Christianity, Catholicism, Orthodoxy, Judaism, Catholicism, together account for 85% of the total population of the United States, which is definitely the largest belief in the United States. In this environment, the identity of a mystic researcher can be publicly mentioned in the United States. Although the research direction is inevitably in conflict with other people's beliefs at times, it is ultimately an identity that can be shown off, and it will be very useful in certain specific situations. With the business card as a stepping stone, Li Yunlong drove to the Los Angeles Police Department in Burbank with confidence. This is a three-story building with some years, with its own parking lot, and the security is not very strict. After all, ordinary gangsters don't have the courage to cause trouble in the police station. Because he doesn't like suits that make him feel restrained, Li Yunlong wears a wilderness survival suit when he goes out. The style is not good-looking, but it is sturdy and durable. The belt is also a special matching belt. Not only is there a dagger and flint for wilderness survival, but there is also a special small water bottle hanging on it. With this equipment, Li Yunlong can go directly to the wilderness to survive without changing anything. Wearing this in the city is a bit alternative, but fortunately this is Los Angeles, the United States. There is never a shortage of maverick weirdos, and well-informed policemen like Li Yunlong have long been accustomed to it. Officer Donard, the female police officer sitting behind the service desk, looked at Li Yunlong calmly. "Sir, may I ask what can I do for you?" Although she was a female police officer, unfortunately she was a sturdy middle-aged woman. Li Yunlong complained in his heart, but he put on a smile on his face, took out his business card and handed it over. "Hello, officer. Let me introduce myself. I'm Brooke Lee." Reaching out to take the business card handed over by Li Yunlong, Officer Donald looked down and said, "Brooke Lee, freelance writer, adventurer, and occult researcher. Well, Mr. Brooke Lee, what are you doing here?" Li Yunlong said, "I want to apply to access the files that your bureau allows to be made public." It sounds a bit wrong for ordinary people to apply to read the police files, even if they are files that are allowed to be made public. But it is really nothing new in the United States. Many professionals in the entertainment industry or the news industry will apply to access the police files for their own needs. In fact, it is not just those files that are allowed to be made public. If you read more news in the United States, you will find that many cases that are being solved will also be found out by those powerful reporters. Speaking of this, I have to complain about the two major problems of the American police. One is that the police force is never enough, and the other is corruption. Therefore, the actual situation of the American police is far from as bright and beautiful as ordinary people imagine. But this is a good thing for Li Yunlong. At least the application submitted by Li Yunlong is very likely to be approved. Officer Donald very skillfully took out several forms and handed them to Li Yunlong. "Please fill in these forms truthfully and in detail." Half an hour later, Li Yunlong completed the relevant tedious procedures, and Officer Donald put away the application forms. Mr. Brooke Lee, your application will be approved in 7 working days. We will notify you of the result based on the contact information you left. Do you have anything else? Lee Yunlong smiled and said goodbye. Nothing else, thank you, Officer Donard. Then he turned and left the police station. If Lee Yunlong wanted to gain a foothold in the local area, he must interact with the locals, but patiently interacting with neighbors was not Lee Yunlong's choice. Unless he was extremely lucky, Lee Yunlong did not think that such interactions would bring him much help. At this time, choosing the circle or level of people to interact with was very skillful, and the local police station was the first step Lee Yunlong chose. A person's life is changing. With the changes in age, identity, status, strength, money, power, reputation, etc., it is necessary to make reasonable adjustments in time in order to be in a more reasonable position in society. In short, it is necessary to adjust the circle in which one is in according to one's own situation. This is not a conscienceless thing, but a rational choice made to reasonably adapt to society. Look at those who have become rich and wealthy. How many of them will live in the same community with ordinary people for a long time? Maybe someone will say that this example is too extreme. Let's talk about a recent one. Do you know Hollywood movie stars? When they are shooting a movie, they also have to join the crew and work with other people in the crew. We won't mention the living conditions that are written directly in the contract and far exceed those of other people in the crew. Let's talk about the situation where the crew eats in the same restaurant at noon. Extras will gather together, crew staff, such as screenwriters, cameramen, and production staff will gather together. Movie stars and main supporting roles will gather together, and movie directors and producers will gather together. Each small circle has a clear class hierarchy. This is the reality of the US, even though the US has always claimed to be a beacon of freedom and democracy. It's really annoying, isn't it? Can't there be less tricks and more love between people? Can't we communicate more sincerely? Unfortunately, it's not that we don't want to, but most people can't do it. If you don't believe it, please go and see how Brother Code was treated. Is kindness really a mistake? Brother Code's experience is really heartbreaking. It would take some time for the police to review the case, and just waiting would be a waste of time. So Lee Yunlong chose a Sunday morning and sneaked into the local Christian church at 9:30. This is a small church, a little off the beaten track, about 20 minutes drive from where Lee Yunlong lives. Next to the church is the local cemetery. Although there is cremation in this place in the United States, many locals still choose the ancient funeral method. Because it was Sunday, there were still many people coming to the church to worship. Lee Yunlong made a rough observation and found that less than 15 of the people were young people around 20 years old. There were a few children who came with their own parents. The rest were basically people in their 30s or 40s. The majority were middle-aged or elderly people. Burbank belongs to Los Angeles, and the most famous thing about Los Angeles is Hollywood, which is a world-famous film and television base with a developed entertainment industry. Even Christianity, which has traditionally been large in number, has not developed very well here. If it is really examined according to Christian doctrines, there may not be one good person among 1,000 people working in the entertainment industry in Hollywood. Since even Christianity itself cannot work in this place, the local Christian church in Burbank certainly has no spirit. The only genuine clergyman here is Pastor Justin. There is no money and no people, and the scale is small. Under various hardware limitations, even the Sunday worship ceremony cannot be done very well. All kinds of rituals and ceremonies can be saved and simplified. After all this trouble, it is almost 11 o'clock. After the service, everyone left the church in order. Lee Yunlong deliberately stayed at the end. This was certainly not because he suddenly believed in Christianity after participating in the event. Li Yunlong never dared to underestimate a huge sect that had been passed down for many years, but his superpower of sensory control told him that at least he did not find any extraordinary power in this small church. The various rituals in the worship ceremony did not show any mysterious effects, and Pastor Justin did not find any extraordinary power. Perhaps because Li Yunlong did not believe in Christianity. When listening to Pastor Justin's sermon, Li Yunlong was not moved at all. Instead, he felt that Pastor Justin was just talking around in circles and did not get to the point at all. Pastor Justin stood at the door and hugged every believer who left, and some even said a few more words. When it was Li Yunlong's turn, Pastor Justin spoke first after the hug. "Welcome to the worship, my brother. If I remember correctly, this is your first time here, right?" Li Yunlong was really a little surprised. Although the church was not big, Li Yunlong just looked and saw that there were 153 people attending the ceremony this time. Even if he was familiar with the believers in his parish, considering that there were several activities in the church on Sunday, the number of believers who came to the worship ceremony must be at least 400. Pastor Justin was sure that this was his first time to attend an event, which showed that he was very responsible for his work. "That's right, Pastor Justin. My name is Brooke Lee, and this is my business card." He took out his own business card and handed it over, and took the opportunity to invite if Pastor Justin has time. "Please come and get together. I have some questions to ask you." Pastor Justin thought for a moment and said, "No problem. I'm glad to be able to help you. Please wait a moment. I'll go change my clothes." Pastor Justin moved quickly. Li Yunlong only waited for less than 10 minutes before he changed into casual clothes and walked out calmly. "Sorry to have kept you waiting. How about we go to the Conch restaurant? It's not far ahead and the environment is not bad." Li Yunlong, of course, Pastor Justin. The Conch restaurant was indeed very close. Under the guidance of Pastor Justin, the two walked to the restaurant in less than 5 minutes. From the outside, the restaurant looked quite old. It was spacious inside. The TV on the wall was playing a news program. Although it was almost lunchtime, more than 13 of the seats in the restaurant were empty. Li Yunlong and Pastor Justin found a relatively empty table and sat down. They ordered some food according to their personal preferences, and Li Yunlong paid the bill. However, Li Yunlong's purpose was not to invite Pastor Justin to dinner. Seeing that the two had almost finished eating, Li Yunlong came straight to the point and put forward his own suggestions. "Pastor Justin, as a researcher of mysticism, I personally have a great interest in all unknown mysterious things and phenomena. I just moved here and don't know much about the situation here. If you can help me in this regard and provide me with enough detailed relevant information, I am willing to donate some money and property to the church in my personal name." Pastor Justin, "Brother Brooke, how much do you plan to donate?" Li Yunlong: "I didn't expect that you, a guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes, are really practical. How about $200? Pastor Justin, this kind of information involving unknown mysteries is quite rare. Even the police station doesn't have as much as I have." Li Yunlong: $300. Pastor Justin, I have been working here for 6 years, and I believe no one knows this place better than me. Li Yunlong: $350. Pastor Justin, I have some information left by the previous pastor. Li Yunlong: $400. Pastor Justin did not say anything else, just smiled and looked at Li Yunlong. Li Yunlong counted out $400 in cash from his pocket and handed it directly to Pastor Justin. Pastor Justin counted and accepted the money carefully, then took out a special tool from his body, issued a receipt to Li Yunlong, and accepted Li Yunlong's personal donation in the name of the church. "I need some time to sort it out. You can come to the church to find me the day after tomorrow morning." Li Yunlong: "Happy cooperation." After dinner, the two walked back to the church again. After a simple hug, they went their separate ways. Li Yunlong got on his Ford pickup truck, adjusted his hairstyle in front of the rearview mirror, and did not rush to start the car to go home, but recalled the process of his contact with Pastor Justin. In Li Yunlong's opinion, Pastor Justin did not have any major problems from the outside. This does not refer to his gentle appearance, although his appearance is also very good. What Li Yunlong said here is his performance shown to the outside world. Human physiological activities have their own rules. Emotions are expressed not only mentally, but also physically. For example, anger, sadness, and secret joy will cause physiological changes. Even if they are consciously suppressed and not expressed to the outside world, the physical reactions caused by physiological changes are also very clear signs for Li Yunlong. There are special studies on this aspect in psychology, which are applied to criminal investigation, magic, and many other aspects. There are also many studies on this in mysticism. For example, mind reading borrows a lot of knowledge in this area. From the accumulation of psychology alone, Li Yunlong is just an elementary school student who has just started, but Li Yunlong has the superpower of sensory control to open the plugin. In terms of practical application, many experts and professors who have studied psychology for many years are probably not as good as Li Yunlong. For ordinary people, Li Yunlong can easily steal their emotions under the surface and put himself in an advantageous position, but this time, Li Yunlong hit a wall with Pastor Justin. It is not that Pastor Justin does not have the physiological reactions of ordinary people, but that Pastor Justin has made his physiological reactions closely connected with the spirit in a relatively stable average value for a long time through long-term practice. This situation is very annoying for Li Yunlong. You are always so half-dead. How can I judge your emotional changes? In the final analysis, Li Yunlong's ability is too weak. Without direct physical contact with Pastor Justin, the information that can be collected through sensory control of superpowers is limited, and the role that can be played is of course not great. In the end, the right way is to find a way to strengthen his own strengths. Li Yunlong counted on his fingers and planned to build his own social circle in 3 steps: local police, local Christian pastors, and local reporters. Li Yunlong has already communicated with the local police station, and it is estimated that the approval will be passed soon. At that time, he can often go around and at least get familiar with him. The local Christian pastor is Pastor Justin. After getting the information from him, it is enough to come to participate in activities once a week. There is no need to get too close to him. As for local reporters, he still needs to find opportunities, but Li Yunlong believes that such opportunities will come to him soon. After all, this is Los Angeles, and Li Yunlong is not picky. It doesn't matter whether they are reporters from newspapers, TV stations, or news websites, or even freelance journalists. Li Yunlong just needs someone to lead him into this circle. Li Yunlong is not worried about the large number of practitioners. But in fact, this opportunity did not come until 3 months later, and the main reason for this result was Li Yunlong himself. After getting the information given by Pastor Justin and the files of the police station, although it was not first-hand information, such a large amount of information was enough for Li Yunlong to be busy for a while. In addition, Li Yunlong had to try every possible way to improve his own strength, so time became tight all of a sudden. He was unwilling to take the initiative, so the matter of making friends with reporters and entering the relevant circle was naturally delayed. It is now the end of April, approaching what the Hollywood film industry calls the summer season. Many big movies have begun to promote and release them. Some movies that think they cannot compete with those big movies have begun to take advantage of this opportunity to occupy the cinema. Li Yunlong, who has been staying at home for a long time, also plans to change his lifestyle and go out more during the day. If there is a chance, he can join in the fun. It can be regarded as a different way to adjust his mood. It saves him from always running out in the middle of the night and seeing too many ghosts and monsters in Los Angeles at night, which makes him feel much darker. This morning, Lee Yunlong drove out to Venice Beach. On the way, he noticed that many people were standing there to watch. He could see many policemen setting up a cordon and working. This place was close to Lump Avenue and not far from the police station. Judging from the appearance of the residence, it was a wealthy family. The policemen were making such a big noise, and it was likely that someone would die. Lee Yunlong found a place to park his car and ran over to join in the fun. At this time, reporters had already arrived, setting up their long guns and short guns and skillfully taking positions, waiting for the police spokesman to come out to explain the situation. It was broad daylight, and this was not a celebrity residence in Beverly Hills. Without being sure of the news value, even the most timid reporters were unwilling to challenge the authority of the police. Taking advantage of the time, the reporters began to interview the onlookers. Lee Yunlong mixed in the crowd and listened for a while, and roughly understood what happened. The family involved in the accident is the Wesley family. The family of three used to live a good life. The father is an executive of a materials company, the mother is a Hollywood agent, and they have a beautiful daughter who is just 13 years old this year. They lived their own happy life until last night. In the morning, the mother found that her daughter did not come to eat breakfast on time. She went to her daughter's room and unexpectedly found that her daughter had died tragically. It is said that the screams at that time alarmed all the neighbors around. Mr. Wesley called the police in time, but as long as you see that the police have not come out to explain the situation until now, you know that there must be trouble this time. Lee Yunlong noticed a female reporter. From the logo, he saw that she belonged to KTLA TV. Although it was not one of the 5 major TV networks in the United States, it was also a local TV station in Los Angeles with some years of history. Lee Yunlong knew her Amelia, a well-known news reporter from KTLA TV. Lee Yunlong quickly squeezed to the front of the crowd and waved to Amelia when he saw the opportunity. Amelia had just finished an interview with a bystander. She didn't get any valuable information when she noticed Lee Yunlong waving at her. With the intuition of a journalist, Amelia picked up the microphone and decided to continue the interview. To Amelia's surprise, Lee Yunlong, who took the initiative to greet her, stretched out his hand to block the microphone, indicating that he refused to be interviewed. When she was stunned, he took a step forward and leaned slightly, whispering in her ear, "It must be tiring to deal with 2 men." Amelia was slightly startled when she heard this. The first thing she thought of was that Lee Yunlong wanted to threaten her. Although she was a little surprised that her little secret was suddenly exposed, Amelia was not afraid of this threat. The United States had a violent movement in the 1960s, and Westerners have always been more relaxed about female chastity. It is not uncommon for a woman to have multiple boyfriends. Although Amelia is 25 years old this year, she is not married. Even from an ethical point of view, it is not reproachable. At most, her little secret will be exposed. It will not cause too much negative impact on her reputation or her work. So Amelia was just surprised and not afraid. Without waiting for Amelia to react, Lee Yunlong took a step back and stood up again, took out his business card and handed it to her. "Ms. Amelia, if you are interested, you can come to me. I believe my method can provide you with some help." Amelia almost subconsciously took the business card handed to her by Lee Yunlong, and watched Lee Yunlong turn around and leave unprepared, disappearing behind the crowd in a few seconds. Amelia picked up Lee Yunlong's business card and looked at it carefully. After a little thought, she put it away carefully. Now she needed to concentrate on her work. The problems brought by Lee Yunlong could be dealt with later. At about 9 p.m., Li Yunlong received a call from Amelia at his home. Half an hour later, Amelia drove to Li Yunlong's house alone. Li Yunlong warmly welcomed her in and invited her to sit in the living room on the first floor. Would you like some tea or water? Amelia, coffee is fine, thank you. Because Li Yunlong doesn't drink coffee, she had to make him a cup of instant coffee. After receiving the coffee, Amelia didn't hesitate to ask Li Yunlong her question directly. Mr. Broccoli, I won't beat around the bush. What is your purpose in investigating me? She put aside the unfinished coffee and stared at Li Yunlong with sharp eyes. Li Yunlong drank a sip of tea slowly, not taking Amelia's scorching attitude to heart. Miss Amelia, first of all, I want to state that although I know you, a famous journalist and host, I personally have not and have never hired anyone else to investigate your personal privacy. Objectively speaking, Amelia is only a little famous in Los Angeles, not the kind of big figure who is famous all over the United States, but she came to him on her own initiative, and Li Yunlong didn't mind praising her. Amelia just snorted coldly. She has big breasts but a big brain. She is a TV news reporter and thinks she has a full understanding of the dark side of society and human hearts. How could she believe everything Li Yunlong said? Li Yunlong could clearly feel Amelia's vigilance, but this kind of small problem is easy to solve. My purpose is very simple. I just want to make friends with Miss Amelia. But now it seems that Miss Amelia has a little misunderstanding about me. I believe that through a small game, you can clear up your misunderstanding of me. Does Miss Amelia have a coin? Amelia casually took out a coin and said, Why, do you want to perform a magic trick for me? Li Yunlong said, Miss Amelia, it's not wrong to understand it this way, but what I want to do is different from ordinary magicians. Please put your hands behind your back and flip the coin at will. Then hold it in front of you without looking at it, and hold it directly on your palm. I will tell you whether the side facing up is a word or a flower. Amelia had seen many magic shows and had participated in close-up magic. This was the first time she had seen Li Yunlong's tricks, so she cooperated and followed his instructions. After 7 attempts, Li Yunlong did not miss a single one. Amelia could not help but ask, How did you do it? The coin was hers, so it was impossible for her to tamper with it. She turned the coin randomly with her hands behind her back every time. She did not even know which side was facing up, and Li Yunlong never asked her once. Every time she put her hands in front of her, Li Yunlong gave the answer almost without thinking, and every time the answer was correct. If Li Yunlong was completely relying on guessing, then in terms of probability, this possibility was too low. Li Yunlong smiled and gave the answer, I am a researcher of mysticism, and I have achieved certain results through my research. He shrugged his shoulders casually, So I don't, and there is no need to investigate your privacy, Miss Amelia. Would I tell you if I have the superpower of sensory control? At such a close distance, unless I am blind, how could I not see clearly which side of the coin is facing up? Even if she tried her best to control herself, Amelia did not dare to be careless, and even took the initiative to lower her eyes to hide her inner thoughts. With the keenness of a journalist, Amelia realized the danger behind Li Yunlong's plain words, but she was more excited. This person who truly possessed the mysterious power was right in front of her, and was even willing to make friends with her. Of course, Amelia would not let go of this opportunity. Of course, Mr. Broccoli, I believe you, otherwise I would not come here. But as a woman, I must be cautious for safety. Li Yunlong, I understand. Amelia adjusted her sitting position, showing off her proud figure. She lifted her hair with her hand and smiled charmingly at Li Yunlong. Then I think we are already friends. Can I call you Li? You can also call me Amelia directly. Li Yunlong, of course, Amelia. Amelia was wearing casual clothes, with a figure of 1.78 meters, with curves in all the right places, a pair of long legs, long golden wavy hair, and a beautiful face. She was a typical old white beauty. Although she was not as heavily made up as in the news, youth is capital. If she was willing to show it, many young boys would easily fall at the feet of Amelia. It was a pity that she was not Li Yunlong's type, and all the efforts were in vain. Amelia, so, Li, as a friend, what can I do to help you? Li Yunlong, it's not a big deal. I just hope you can provide me with information about local mysterious events without violating professional ethics. Of course, to express my gratitude, I have also prepared some small gifts for you. Amelia secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Li Yunlong's request was not excessive and could be easily fulfilled. As for the small thank you gift Li Yunlong mentioned, Amelia did not take it seriously. As a working professional woman who was working hard, Amelia valued the value represented by Li Yunlong, who possessed mysterious powers. Of course, we are friends. She gently turned the coffee cup with her fingers. So, Li, what did you tell me about this morning? Li Yunlong. Are all American women so direct? She is so practical, not embarrassed at all. Amelia, I am a researcher of mysticism, mainly focusing on ancient Eastern mysticism. I believe that a person's essence, energy, and spirit are limited. In other words, a person's physical strength, energy, and time are all limited. It is of course very difficult for you to deal with two men with your limited strength. The best way is to give up one of them. Li Yunlong knew what Amelia's expression was without having to look at her. If you don't want to give up now, I can provide you with two options for you to choose from. Amelia was alert. What's the solution? Li Yunlong, the first solution is to learn the art of sex, which is a kind of mystical science about sex. I can give you a list of books. They are available at the Los Angeles City Library. Amelia, how long will it take to see results? Li Yunlong, if you study and practice hard on your own, and with my guidance, you can get started in half a year to a year, and you can achieve minor success in 3 to 5 years. As for major success, it's hard to say. There are too many influencing factors, so it's hard to judge. Amelia, it takes half a year to get started. Amelia directly understood getting started as an apprenticeship of a mystical profession. What can an apprentice do? It takes 3 to 5 years to become a junior professional. By this time, the opportunity will be gone. So she asked without hesitation, what about the second method? Li Yunlong placed a glass bottle filled with potion in front of Amelia. This is a potion I prepared, called nourishing soup. It can effectively replenish your consumption. As long as you take it on time, you will have enough energy to deal with the problems you face. Once a day, 50 milliliters is enough. However, the human body's ability to absorb drugs is limited. After about a year of continuous use, the drug's replenishment of you will not keep up with your consumption. This phenomenon will become more and more obvious over time, so I don't recommend you to use this method. Amelia looked at the black potion in the glass bottle, and 10,000 alpacas roared through her heart. This bottle. Potion, can I take it away? Li Yunlong said, of course, I'll give it to you. You can do whatever you want with it. This bottle of potion is real. In the old American Chinatown, Li Yunlong can buy almost all the Chinese medicine he wants, which provides great convenience for Li Yunlong's research. With enough medicine as raw materials, Li Yunlong took the medical book and studied according to the map. The core of Chinese medicine lies in qi. Medical theory is constructed according to yin and yang and the 5 elements. It is very difficult to learn without the guidance of a famous teacher. Li Yunlong took a different approach and used the Chinese medicine theory that medicine can regulate qi. He started from the opposite direction and made medicine according to the prescriptions provided in the medical book. In the experiment, he used the superpower of sensory control to collect enough information, deeply understood the various theoretical knowledge in the medical book, and after in-depth research and study, he deepened his research according to his own understanding. Repeatedly, the purpose of quickly understanding and mastering Chinese medicine was achieved. The potion provided to Amelia was one of Li Yunlong's research results. Amelia carefully put away the potion. Li, I just have a mysterious incident on hand, which is the Wesley family this morning. Li Yunlong made a gesture of invitation. Amelia didn't rush to speak, and sorted out her thoughts first. Wesley's daughter Alice just celebrated her 13th birthday last month. She took out a folder from her bag and handed it to Li Yunlong. Li Yunlong took it and opened it. The materials inside were a bit messy. There were 2 photos on the first page. The photo above should have been taken on Alice's birthday. A lively little girl was smiling at the camera. The photo below was taken in the morgue. If there was no explanation, it would be difficult for ordinary people to connect the 2 photos. Because the skin of the corpse in the photo was black and wrinkled, it was completely skin and bones, and the whole body was abnormally twisted. It was not an exaggeration to say that this was a mummy of someone who had died tragically many years ago. Less than a day after death, the body of the little girl would become like this. Anyone would find something wrong, and many of them would probably immediately connect this matter with the mysterious incident. Li Yunlong roughly flipped through the information at the back. Most of it was related to the Wesley family. The rest was only a small number of interview records. Apart from the photos, it was not of much value overall. Li Yunlong closed the folder and returned it to Amelia. Amelia took it and put it away. She was silent for a while, then said meaningfully, "My friend at the police station told me that this case is classified as a mere game within the police station.